So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how Shelby Sapp makes over 200K a month with her coaching business, and I myself have scaled some of my clients to over 200K cash collected. And if you're a coach watching this, at the end of this video, you should understand the exact step-by-step strategy that Shelby uses that you can integrate into your business. That way you are able to scale. If you aren't familiar with who Shelby Sapp is, pretty much she teaches women how to get started with remote high-ticket sales. And the reason she's honestly been the most successful at it is because she really understands her ICP, ideal customer profile. So she knows that it's going to be tailored more towards younger girls between 18 and 30-ish range. You know, they're going to be stuck in the 9 to 5 looking to get an online business, or they're in college and they want to drop out. And, you know, she creates a lot of resonance with them by showing them the lifestyle, you know, the pink, Porsche, Pilates, vacations, whatever. And then also just using their lingo, you know, the whole girl boss lingo, just talking exactly like them. And one of the other main selling points as well is just the fact that she has a really good business model. And it's because sales has low barrier to entry. You can make a ton of money, build amazing connections. And the main value discrepancy with her offer compared to, let's say, other high-ticket sales offers is the fact that it's only for girls. So she has a lot to leverage in that scenario. And so I have a decent amount to share with you today, but I want to first go over marketing strategies because, as I was just saying, you know, she's really successful with her ICPs and understanding those, but also we have to understand why she's so good at that. And it really comes down to her marketing strategies. So I broke it down into 3 categories. So personal, lifestyle, and business. So with personal, the ultimate goal is to build relatability and trust. And you can see Alex Eubank right there. So I've actually been following him since before he blew up, and now he's one of the top influencers in the gym niche. So when people see her and Alex come together, right, it's like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. They're not even in remotely the same field, but what it does is it garners attention, and so many people are going to want to go towards that. So while Shelby's audiences are going to be buying Alex's stuff and vice versa, people are going to get caught onto them as like a couple, but also the fact that she seems more human. Like her audience that has been following her is going to be like, wow, okay, so she has life, she is in a relationship, and you know, they just see her more as a person, and that's just going to build more trust, warm them up a little bit, feel more connected to her. And then also the lifestyle, you know, the pink Porsche, the traveling, the vacations, the luxury, all that, and you know, the Miami penthouse. But more importantly as well is it creates like an inspiration for people to kind of look up to, because, you know, let's say somebody was making the same amount of money, but then they just don't really have anything to show for it, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, if you're trying to reach people and reach an audience, you know, they're going to want to see some sort of status, you know, subconsciously, right? So in doing this, it's the message that pretty much gets sent out to people is, you know, it's not just how to sell, but what selling unlocks. And that's what Shelby, you know, tries to, you know, let people understand. And it just makes them more emotionally tied down to like her and her brand. And then last but not least is business. So this is a little bit different than the personal and lifestyle just because it's more logical focus. So people are already bought into her because of her personal life and just the things that she's accomplished. But also, when they see her logically explain and give actual value, you know, they're going to see her credibility and her leadership. They're going to see her as like a teacher. You know, it's going to be like Tom Brady and he has his quarterback coach, or you're in the gym and you have a trainer, right? That's the same exact type of model that you want to think of. And so what it's really going to do is just people are going to establish more trust with her because, A, they've already liked her as a person, but now they actually like her for the value, right? You know, having the testimonials, the speaking events. So just creating more resonance. And then I also added a little note here at the bottom as well. You see, Shelby is the brand. She doesn't just sell remote closing, she sells a whole transformation, because half the people that are opting into wanting to learn, you know, sales, they don't really know what it all entails yet. And so they just are really bought into, you know, her lifestyle, her values, her energy, her authenticity. And that's what people really go towards, and that's why they want to get into it. And also just overall, her message, you know, is pretty relatable. You know, it's about empowering women, creating the deep resonance. And just, you don't have to be perfect. You could just go from point A to point B. And that's why she's documented her journey and, you know, shown that she started with door-to-door sales. And then she was able to, you know, transition to high-ticket sales. And now she's a successful coach. And that's what so many people, you know, find intriguing with her. So with all of those in mind, let's actually break it down into some practicality. So let's look at her YouTube here. And for having over 700,000 followers on Instagram, I'm not going to lie, I was expecting a little bit more with her YouTube. 6.1K subs, not too shabby, but 2 videos. And I think that's what concerns me more than anything else, because look at the inconsistency as well. This video was 4 months ago. This video was 2 months ago. Sure, decent views, 31K, 25K, awesome. But if you have 775,000 people on Instagram or something like that, you got to have more on your long form content. And the reason being is because with long form, you're going to be able to nurture your audience so much more. I mean, just put yourself in the prospect's shoes for a second. You know, if you watch somebody on YouTube for X amount of time and you watch somebody on Shorts for X amount of time, which one do you feel like you're going to have more resonance with? And obviously it's going to be long form because why? They're longer videos, they're more in depth, you have a better understanding, you're more nurtured. And so that way when you show up to the sales call, you are pretty much going to be an easy laydown. Like, you're maybe not going to have that many objections. You're already bought in. With Shorts, it's just more for grabbing attention and, you know, getting people attached to your brand. So I think she could really prioritize her long form more, be more consistent with it. And when you click on one of her videos too, like this one, this was a good video. I watched the full thing. However, the biggest issue was there was no CTA. There was no call to action, no way to redirect the traffic. And so let's say people just saw her on her recommended or on one of these side videos. They click on this video, they watch it in length, and they're like, okay, awesome. Now what? Like, you're going to have a small percentage of people swipe up out of YouTube, go to Instagram and search up Shelby Sapp, but the rest are just going to click on one of these videos, and that's just missed opportunity. You know, because imagine, let's just even say 10,000 out of the 25,000 people went to her Instagram or just were funneled over somewhere else. You know, they went to VSL, they went to, you know, an email newsletter, they went to her Instagram, whatever it is, right? That's an opportunity cost, because imagine, you know, let's say, I think her ticket price is $3K. So let's just even say 5 people, just 5 out of those 10,000, all converted. That's an extra $15K she could have had on top, right? And obviously, you would take $15K unless you're allergic to money. So I think she could have a CTA here. She didn't have anything at the end of the video either. And ultimately, I think if she wants to scale even higher, just really leverage long-form content. This is where her main success is, though, and that is her webinar funnel. So let's break it down. So starting off with her IG, where most of her audience is, we have 776,000 followers. Shelby, coach, I create badass sales reps and get the girls rich. So just explaining what she does. CEO of #1 largest sales academy for women. Adds authority, and that's really good to have because it's actually true. She can back it up. And the next free live sales training, May 22nd, with the link. So link to the webinar. Now, imagine if she had that on the YouTube, how much more she'd have there. But yeah, you got some good posts here, a lot of reels, highlights. And then, as a coach, you have to be leveraging your student wins, your case studies, because if you don't have any, you shouldn't even be selling at all. And just take Shelby, for example. Look how many stories that is. That's absolutely insane. And look how many, screenshots are on each of them. So what this really does, though, is just build social proof. People are just going to really trust her. Because let's say they don't know her. They're going to click on Student Win, see what it's all about. And surely after, seeing a million different stories with a bunch of different testimonials, they're going to at least be somewhat bought in. So always be sure to leverage your case studies as much as you can. And then where the real magic happens for Shelby is her stories. So this is where she'll like to leverage the CTAs. And so you have one there. And then this is pretty common to see in the info space. You'll have like creators put a story sequence pretty much here. So let's break it down. So on some real shit, I'm currently in Lake Como, tanning, smoking a cig, but I'm sitting here thinking this is my literal dream, travel, work anywhere. So just kind of painting the picture that maybe some girls are, actually dealing with. And then let's go. The energy I'm feeling as I'm typing this is insane. So just building some hype, people starting to feel that. And then this energy in this moment, every single one of you beautiful humans reading this deserves this feeling. I won't stop shouting it from the rooftop of this Lake Como Villa. So just building some authority, being like, hey, I went from here to here, and you guys can do this too. Yeah, and it is also 100% realistic and doable for every single one of you. So just kind of building the gap, but people, are going to look up to her and be like, okay, so I can do this. And then I really like this, and I'll explain why here in a second. 1 word, sales, scratch that. 3 words, high ticket sales. Let me and my team and my coaches replicate what we did with over 3,000 wins. So a lot of social proof there, a link. And my favorite thing about this, though, is the fact that she goes 1 word sales, scratch that, 3 words, high ticket sales. And the reason she does this is because if you think about it, sales, right? What is your connotation of sales? You probably have a negative idea of it, right? It's like, okay, the car salesman, solar sales, insurance, door-to-door, pest control, whatever it is, right? That's what you're thinking about. But when you say high ticket sales, some people have no clue what that is. Actually, most people don't. And they're like, okay, what is that? And that just builds curiosity. It builds intrigue. People can be like, oh, okay, is this like a new business model? And realistically, it's just a subcategory of sales, although it is majorly different. So people are going to get bought into that. And then last story here for the CTA, you don't need another testimonial. You don't need another ad. Come learn for free. So just do me a favor, click the link so I can train your ass how to make sales from your house or Lake Como. Do it already tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. So once you click that link, then you get taken over to this website. So looks really good, super clean. She sells, nice profile pic there. Countdown, RSVP for this masterclass, how to step into high ticket sales with Shelby Sapp, time and date. Awesome. You're going to learn all of this. So exactly what this hidden sales rule is, my framework, why now's the best time. And then where a lot of coaches go wrong is actually filtering out the bad leads. So imagine you're like Shelby and you have 1 million people opting in. Okay, I'm exaggerating, of course, but that's a lot of people. And realistically, you want to make it as easy for your sales team as possible. And you don't want to waste calendar space. You don't want to waste slot utilization. So you only want people that are really going to be committed and qualified. And so she kind of has this question sequence here, like, this is for you if you're sick and tired of your 9-to-5 job. You want to earn a living without a degree or corporate job. You want to learn a new skill and be part of a community. You want to work from anywhere on their own terms and not be tied to a desk. Awesome. And then you do the caveat of that, right? The opposite. This is not for you if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. You don't want to put in the work. Women who don't want to be part of a community. Women who aren't ready to invest in themselves. Women who aren't committed to changing their life. And the reason you do this is because you want to call those people out and kind of pre-handle it already. Because if, let's say, for example, they show up to this thinking it's a get-rich-quick thing, they don't really want to put in the work, they don't have the money for this, then they're probably not going to be a good fit. Sure, they can maybe still go to the webinar just because it's free, but realistically, they're not going to book a call. And it's good that you do that because, like I said, you don't want to waste your sales team's time because then some people are just going to go through the pipeline and be like, oh, I thought this whole thing was free value, right? You don't want that. And so she also has a nice little introduction post here. Hi, I'm Shelby Sapp, your host and founder of She Sells Remote. Whether you discovered me through my pink social TikToks or my sales tip videos, blah, blah, blah. It's time to live your dream life. And then once you click on that, then you get taken to this opt-in page, right? So full name, email, phone number. And this is also where most coaches go wrong because they won't tag those leads. They won't get SMS and email sequences. Their sales team will not even reach out to them or take too long to reach out to them because you have to understand this. If somebody gives you their name, email, and number, that means they're interested in what you have. Whether they've bought yet or not, they're interested. And so what you need to do is contact them as soon as possible before they go cold because over time, leads are just going to get colder. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to talk themselves out of it. So you want to be able to touch base with them as quick as you can. Figure out their struggles. Figure out their pain points. And really bridge the gap. Okay, you are stuck here at point A and you want to get to point B. And pretty much my product is the solution for you to build that gap, right? So you want to go through that. And then once you opt in, then you get taken to this thank you page. So good little video here, preparing the leads for the webinar, kind of just establishing the frame. I'll sum it up for you. So she was pretty much saying, okay, awesome, thank you for booking, everything like that. And, I'm taking an hour out of my day. It's going to be 3 a.m. over here in Italy. And, you're taking an hour out of your day. So be paying attention. Don't be scrolling on TikTok. Actually lock in for this because, this 1 hour could change your whole life. So just kind of pre-framing, setting it up. And then also within a minute of opting in, I did get an SMS sequence here as well as an email. So, OFMG girl, you're in, congrats. And as you can see, just play the part a little bit there. And then, yeah, I think this was just more of like a automated email there. And then also my first actual email 4 minutes later with some real copy. So Jada, you're in. Hey Jada, yes, I changed my name for this, so you're welcome. And yeah, you just made the best decision of your life. You secured your spot in my exclusive She Sells Remote Masterclass. I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. There's some info. Be quick, heads up. There's no replay for this masterclass, so just give it a little bit of urgency there. Like, okay, I have to make this. And get ready to level up, make it rain. Don't be late. Last time we did this, we had to turn people away because we had capacity way faster than expected. So really good at building some urgency there as well. And then about 5 hours later, same day, at night, and yeah, tomorrow we print money, so just building some excitement for tomorrow. And then more copy. I can't with the lingo sometimes, bro. In just 24 hours, we're about to change your whole life. Listen up. The major truth bombs. I'm sharing my $1 million call roadmap. It's a lot of emojis. You're going to have to learn close deals like it's no big deal. So yeah, a lot of emojis. And then here's the kicker. Last time we opened our doors, we had to turn people away. So again, just using the same kind of urgency tactic. And then the day of the webinar, so 12 hours in advance, flip your whole world upside down, final checklist. This is an exclusive action taker event only. I can already see you crushing it. P.S. We had to turn a lot of people away last time. So if you've seen like the common pattern, it's, get your attention with like, okay, yeah, your whole world's about to change. Then it's, all right, just make sure this is the checklist that you do for the call. And then also building urgency at the end. And while I don't think it's bad, I want to add a little bit of extra value here by doing a copy breakdown. I think she could do a little bit better with making it feel less automated. Because when I like popped this open and I saw like 1,000 emojis and it just didn't really catch me the right way. Like, I still think it's good. Don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that, it's like, okay, be ready for the call, be prepared, build the urgency. I think that's great. The only thing I would really change, though, is just add more of a story. Like, you could do this just by building more pain. So maybe, at the beginning here, like, oh, funny story, back when I started with door-to-door, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Also, I would just use a little bit less emojis. But actually create a little bit more relatability within the emails, just because it's, okay, yeah, your whole life's going to change. Just do this for the call. Oh, and make sure to show up. I think if she adds a little bit of a story, I think it'll do a little bit better because, here, I'll even show you. I have my own newsletter, and so every day I send out emails. And for example, this is just one of them from yesterday. Would you invest in your own life? Question for you. If your life was a business, would you invest in it? Look at it like this. Your habits are your systems, your routine is your operations, your friends are your business partners, your thoughts are your board of directors. Now be honest, would you wire yourself 100K to scale? And so it just paints a picture in their head. Then I kind of go through this whole story, negative consequence, future pace, and pretty much then end up getting them on a CTA. So it's the same thing though. I think if she did a little bit more of that, I think her click rate would be a little bit higher. But overall, good emails. And then still same day, really short email here. And having short emails honestly isn't a bad thing, because what it does is it does increase the click rate a little bit, because let's be real, most people are going to end up reading this in full versus this in full because it's obviously longer. So having a short little email, just a quick little confirmation, that's good. And then an hour in advance, letting people know what's up. And then we are live. So I was getting blasted with email sequences, which is amazing. And then also, same for SMS. So today's the day. Automated one there. We are 4 hours away. Play the part. 1 hour. Get your water, energy drink. I don't know why you need an energy drink at 8 p.m., but hey, you do you. 10 minutes, 5, we're live. And then even a couple minutes after, you're not too late. Don't give up on your dreams yet. Last chance to join. So just really letting people, get the chance to join there. And then here's a little bit of the webinar. Obviously, I don't want to do too much from it, just out of respect for Shelby, but I mean, this still gives you the info that you need to know. So she pretty much ran the whole presentation off of Canva, just a little slideshow explaining things. And yeah, so this was just kind of in the beginning. And then towards the end, this webinar ended up going on for like 2 hours because she did like a little Q&A or whatever. And as you can see here in the webinar chat, there was a ton of messages in regards to people booking like the Calendly link. So important, we're at 81% capacity, urgent, we just opened up one more day, right? So just really making sure people book in. And let's say you click that link, I saved it for you guys, so Merry Christmas. And first name, last name, email, phone number, where you're currently located. How old are you? Now, the reason you want to ask this, because you can already kind of predetermine, the avatar that you're speaking to. Like, let's say, for example, I went on this and I pressed 14 to 17. Okay, odds are, of course there's exceptions, but odds are I'm going to need a parent. I probably work a part-time job, like while I'm in school, so I maybe only make like a couple $100 a month. Maybe, I play for the football team. So, like, it's going to be a little bit harder for, me to close. And so it just kind of helps the sales team out a little bit. What do you currently do for work? What's your biggest motivation for wanting to learn remote high-ticket sales? What is your previous sales experience, if any? And then, are you in a position and open to investing a minimum of $5K in yourself to get the mentorship and help all that you need to hit your goals? And so you have, yes, I have this. Yes, only if I have financing and a minimum credit score of 650. No, I do not. And if you press no, odds are you're just going to get redirected to a downsell or even just some free resources. And then if accepted, when would you be ready to start? Now, this is a really good question because it's like a pre-handle. So let's say, for example, I was a lead and I booked in here more than 2 weeks from now. Okay, center calls me up. You're like, hey, saw you were on the webinar. How'd you like it? Blah, blah, blah. And then they end up getting this question. Okay, so, if accepted, when would you be ready to start? And you say, more than 2 weeks from now. Okay, gotcha. And, let me ask, like, what's pushing it off for 2 weeks for you? It's just a lot of money. I just got to think about it. Okay, that's pretty much just going to be fear, logistics. It's an objection that you could handle. But let's say, for example, somebody says something that's actually reasonable, like, oh, I'm just completely out of vacation. I have, like nothing on me, whatever right now. Okay, that's different. Or like they have a big paycheck coming in later, right? That's what that is, because you want to be able to pre-handle and just kind of see what people are going to say. And then also, what is you and your partner's current monthly income? So this is good to just kind of double check with this financially qualifying question. Because let's say, for example, they put like 10K here, but then they only have like $200 available. Okay, then maybe they're capping about one of them. And let's say the opposite. Let's say, okay, yes, this is perfect, but they maybe make like $500 a month on their application. Okay, you want to see if they maybe had side hustles or if it's just been savings, right? That's why you want to ask those questions. So pretty solid. And then obviously, me being a guy, I didn't book a spot because I think that's just a douchey move and I don't want to waste their time. But I did want to see, though, if they would email me if I didn't book a call. And good news is I did. And that is exactly what you want to do, because not everybody's going to convert. Not everybody's going to book a call. But you still want to follow up with those people, because while, yes, some of them could be unqualified, some may also be really good and they just ended up slipping through the pipeline. So what you want to do is keep blasting them with emails and SMS. So let's see. Can't make the webinar. I've got you. Hey, Jada, I know not everyone can carve out an hour and a half in the middle of a chaotic week for a live training, even when that could literally change the game. Maybe you're working 2 jobs. Maybe your boss watches your calendar like a hawk. Maybe life is just lifing. So I made a call. I worked with my team to open up a few spots this weekend for private one-on-ones. Here's what we'll do on the call. Look where you're stuck financially, mentally, emotionally. We'll go there. I like that. Break down what your freedom path could look like. See if remote sales fits your life, goals, and energy. Give you real clarity on what you need to do next, even if it's not with us. I like this. This is probably my favorite email that she sent, actually, out of all of them. And then you have 2 links here, and they both just take you back to this. So overall, really good webinar funnel, and that is exactly how she prints over 200K a month. Okay, so what can she do better overall? And I know I mentioned it towards the beginning of the video, but I think it's really just tying down on her long-form content. If she can post more frequently, being consistent with it, maybe it's once a month or even twice a month, I think that would be able to, increase the amount of views she's getting, and then also just nurture those leads a little bit more. And then just kind of on top of that, redirect that YouTube audience over to VSL, an email newsletter, her Instagram, right? Just being able to, take that traffic and then move them over to where they're actually more likely to convert. I would change up the emails just a little bit. I couldn't find if she had a newsletter, but if she does, I would have kind of more organic type of storytelling emails with the CTA, kind of like how I showed you mine earlier. And then, of course, with less emojis. Still hitting the target audience, of course, but just make it feel more natural. And then one of the other things I would do as well is actually hire clippers to grow her personal brand more, because Tate was one of the OGs who did it, but you look at Brez and TJR, and I think Brez is doing it the best right now. But I'll be scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, and I'll see like a Brez video, but it's not even from his account. And what's good about that is because instead of just Brez relying on people only seeing his content from just his account, now there's like 30, 40, 50 different accounts that people can actually watch and see. And if you want to look at it numbers-wise, he spent $40K last month on clippers, and he ended up making over $300K that month in profit. So just absolutely insane, and I think that's just a route that she can take so that way she's able to monetize even more. But if you're a coach watching this and you have bottlenecks and gaps in your business, shoot me a DM down below and we can have a chat and actually figure out, what's going wrong, whether it's on the sales side or on the marketing side, and actually see what gaps are in the business so that way you can overcome those problems and that way you can actually scale to the ability that you want to. So hope you enjoyed this video. Have a blessed day. Take care.